निताय गौर प्रेमानंदी हरि हरि बोल। जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य श्री श्री अष्टोत्तर श्री श्रीमते सी भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी शिल प्रभुपाद की जय। So we can begin reading from Srila Prabhupada Leelamrita. I think yeah, there. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. This time, however, Prabhupada was coming to Vrindavan as that city's famous ambassador to the world, renowned for propagating the glories of Radha Krishna and Vrindavan in the West. We're reading from The Land is Yours, Volume 2, Chapter 37. I think it is Chapter 37. Yes. The success of the Hare Krishna movement was being widely publicized in India as Prabhupada and his band of foreign disciples traveled from city to city, holding kirtans, lecturing from Srimad Bhagavatam, and telling of Krishna consciousness in the West. So when Prabhupada arrived in Vrindavan with 40 disciples, the entire new heralded his presence. The entire town heralded his presence. The municipality of Vrindavan arranged a formal reception attended by prominent local citizens and sadhus. A spokesman for the city praised Srila Prabhupada for his accomplishments. O great soul, today we, the inhabitants of Vrindavan, known as Brajabasis, all combinedly offer our humble welcome to your holiness in this holy place of Vrindavan. And in doing so, we feel very proud. For many years, you have stayed in Radha Damodar temple and worshipped Her Majesty Srimati Radharani in a meditative mood, and thus you now have the transcendental vision to deliver the entire world. As proof of your protection, we can see these foreign devotees before us, and we feel very proud to see how you have transformed them into such pure devotees. O great preacher of Vedic culture, formerly a great many Swamis went to foreign countries, but now you have wonderfully preached the Sankirtan movement and the sublime philosophy of Bhakti cult in the Western countries. And that is the only means for giving peace and prosperity to all people of the world in this age. For preaching religion and culture, your holy name will remain ever dazzling. To speak frankly, we feel a very intimate relationship with you, and we feel perfect satisfaction at this time in the privilege to present you this address of welcome. We take it for granted that you are one of us in Vrindavan. We are sure that wherever you travel, you must carry with you the impression of Sri Vrindavan Dham. The culture, religion, philosophy, and transcendental existence of Sri Vrindavan Dham travel with you. Through the great message Your Holiness carries, all the people of the world are now becoming very intimately related to Vrindavan Dham. We are certainly sure that through your preaching alone the transcendental message of Vrindavan will spread all over the world. May you be crowned a success in these noble activities. Then Srila Prabhupada spoke, beginning by explaining how the International Society for Krishna Consciousness is trying to establish Daiva Varnashram, or a God conscious social order with universal application. We should not consider that Krishna is Hindu or Indian. Krishna is for all. These foreigners are taking to Krishna consciousness by understanding that Krishna is for all. They are not accepting a form of religious principles like Hindu or Muslim or Christian. These are designated religions. If I'm calling myself a Hindu, this is not my religion. This is my designation because I happen to take birth in a Hindu family. Therefore, I call myself a Hindu. Or because I take birth in a particular land, I call myself Indian or American. But our Krishna consciousness movement is not for such designated personalities. This Krishna consciousness is Sarvopadhi Vinirmuktam. When one becomes free from all designations, he can take to Krishna consciousness. As long as one is Hindu or Muslim or Christian, there is no question of Krishna consciousness. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. What a wonderful reading it. So welcome everyone. Hare Krishna. Welcome everyone to this morning's Srimad Bhagavatam session. I will share the screen for our reading today. So we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 18. There are two verses today, 16 and 17. So I will quickly read 16 and then I'll move to 17 and then we'll sing the 17th verse together. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudirayet Shrinvatam Swakatha Krishna Punyashravanakirtanam Hridin Antastho Abhadrani Vidunoti Sruhit Satam Nashtaprayeshva Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shlokir Bhakti Bhavati Naishtikir. So here we go with Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 18, verse number 16. Ativa sulalita gati vilasita ruchira hasa lesha valoka leelaya kinchit uttambhita sundara bhrumandala subhaga vadan arvinda shriya ramam Ramayan Indriyani Ramayate. Ativa, very much. Sulalita, beautiful. Gati, with movements. Vilas, by pastimes. Vilasita, manifested. Ruchira, pleasing. Hasalesha, mild smiling. Avaloka, Leelaya, by playful glancing. Kinchit uttambhita, slightly raised. Sundara, beautiful. Bhrumandala, by the eyebrows. Subhaga, auspicious. Vadana Aravinda Shriya, with his beautiful lotus-like face. Ramam, the goddess of fortune. Ramayan, pleasing. Indriyani, all the senses. Ramayate, he pleases. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. In Ketumala Varsha, Lord Kamadeva Pradyumna moves very graciously. His mild smile is very beautiful, and when he increases the beauty of his face by slightly raising his eyebrows and glancing playfully, he pleases the goddess of fortune. Thus he enjoys his transcendental senses. We'll go to verse number 17. Tad bhagavato mayamayam rupam paramasamadhi yogena Rama Devi samvatsaryasya ratrishu prajapater duhitrabhir upete hashu cha tat bhrartrabhir upasate idam chodaharati. Are there any volunteers who want to recite this?
Hare Krishna Mataji, I am reciting.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
तद्भगवतो मायामयं रूपं परम समाधियोगेन रमादेवी संवत्सरस्य रात्रिषु प्रजापतेर्द्वित्रिभिः उपेताः शुच तद् भर्तृभिः उपास्ते idam chodaharati. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
हरे कृष्ण माता जी, धन्यवाद प्रणाम।
Hare Krishna, Mataji, Dandavat Pranam.
तत् भगवत मायामयं रूपं परम समाधि योगेन रमा देवी संवत्सरस्य रात्रिषु प्रजापतेर्दुहितृभिरुपेताः शुच तद्भर्तृभिरुपास्ते इदं च उदाहरति। हरे कृष्ण।
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. May I try, please?
Yes, please, Mataji. Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam.
Pranam. Tat Bhagavato Mayamayam Rupam Param Samadhi Yogena Rama Devi Samvatsarasya Ratrishu Prajapate Duhitravire Upetaha Su Chatate Bharatribhire Upasate Idam Aharati. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Thank you,
Mataji.
Rita.
Hare Krishna. Okay, so we can go to synonyms translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Anyone wants to read synonyms?
May
Hare
I?
Krishna. Okay, carry on, please.
Carry on, Mataji.
Okay, thank you, Mataji. Synonyms of Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Tat, that, Bhagavataha, of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Maya Mayam, full of affection for the devotees. Rupam, form. Parama, highest. Samadhi Yogena, by absorption of the mind in the service of the Lord. Rama, the goddess of fortune. Devi, divine woman. Samvatsarasya, known as Samvatsara, Ratrishu, during the nights, Prajapatehe, of Prajapati, Duhitrabhi, with the daughters, Upeta, combined, Aha, Su, during the days, Cha, also, Tad Bhatrabhi, with the husbands, Upaste, worships, Idam, this, Cha, also, Udaharati, chants. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Anyone wants to read translation?
May I, Mataji?
Yes, Mataji, please.
Translation by Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Accompanied during the daytime by the sons of Prajapati, the predominating deities of the days, and accompanied at night by his daughters, the deities of the nights. Lakshmi Devi worships the Lord during the period known as the Samvatsar, in his most merciful form as Kamadev. Fully observed in devotional service, she chants the following mantras. Thank you, Hare Krishna Vida.
Thank you, Hare Krishna. Any volunteer to read the purport?
Hare Krishna Mataji, I am reading it.
Yes, Prabhu, thank you.
The word Mayamayam used in this verse should not be understood according to the interpretations of the Mayavadis. Maya means affection as well as illusion. When a mother deals with her child affectionately, she is called Mayamaya. In whatever form the Supreme Lord Vishnu appears, he is always affectionate towards his devotees. Thus, the word Mayamayam is used here to mean very affectionate towards the devotees. Srila Jiva Goswami writes in this regard that Mayamayam can also mean Kripa Prachuram, deeply merciful. Similarly, Srila Viragho says, Maya Prachurana Maya Sankalpena Parigrihitam iti artha jnana parayotra maya shabda. When one is very affectionate due to an intimate relationship, one is described Mayamaya. Srila Vishwanath Chakraborty Thakur explains, Mayamayam is dividing it into the words Maya and Amayam. He explains these words to indicate that because the living entity is covered by the disease of illusion, the Lord is always eager to deliver his devotees from the clutches of Maya and cure him of the disease caused by the illusory energy. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji. These are so wonderful prayers. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bir Krishnadas Goswami Niti Namine Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. So I'll just quickly read translation 16 and then translation 17 and then we'll begin. In Ketumala Varsha, Lord Kamadev Pradyumna moves very graciously. His mild smile is very beautiful, and when he increases the beauty of his face by slightly raising his eyebrows and glancing playfully, he pleases the goddess of fortune. Thus he enjoys his transcendental senses. Verse 17 says, accompanied during the daytime by the sons of Prajapati, the predominating deities of the days, and accompanied by night by his daughters, the deities of the nights, Lakshmi Devi worships the Lord during the period known as Samvatsara in his most merciful form as Kamadev. Fully absorbed in devotional service, he chants the following mantras. And the mantras are in the verse, the next verse, 18. So we are in this chapter, the prayers offered to the Lord by the residents of Jambudvip. This chapter offers prayers to the Lord, and these prayers are offered by the residents of Jambudvip. In the first six verses, we had prayers to Hayashirsha, then the prayers to Lord Narsimha by Prahlad in Harivarsha. This section talks about the prayers to Kamadev by Lakshmi Devi in Ketumala Varsha. So in Ketumala Varsha, the Lord is in the form of Kamadev, who resides with Lakshmi. He stays there to please Prajapati Samvatsara, whose sons and daughters are the controlling deities of the days and nights, respectively. So they number, this is from verse number 15, they number 36,000, one for each day and night in the lifetime of a human being. At the end of each year, his at the end of each year, his daughters become agitated by Lord's Kala Chakra and their fetuses are aborted. So these fetuses are referred to, according to Subodhini, the fetuses refer to time with its minutes or and seconds, or to the results of the prarabdha karma of the inhabitants enjoying in that land. Because the night acts as the cause of enjoyment of karmas, they are called fetuses of the daughters. At the end of the gross time in the form of a year, with the end of enjoyment, they are also aborted. They're finished. So Kamadev pleases Lakshmi by his gracious movements, beautiful face, mild smile, movement of his eyebrows, and playful glances. Lord Kamadev pleases Rama and enjoys his transcendental senses. Ramam Ramayan Indriyani Ramayate. Lakshmi Devi in verse number 17 worships Kamadev during the day. She is accompanied by Prajapati Samvatsara's sons, and during the night she is accompanied by his daughters. And absorbed in this service, in loving devotional service, she chants the following mantra. The mantra is, I'm just quickly going to recite the mantra to complete this. Obeisances to Lord Rishikesha, the controller of my senses. Respects to Lord Rishikesha in this verse. Om Ram Hrim Rum Om Namo Bhagavate Rishikeshaya Sarva Gunair Visheshair Vilakshitatmane Akutinam Chittinam Chetasanam Vishesha Chadhipataye Shodasha Shodasha, sixth of all the Kalayas. Chandomayaya, Annamayaya, Amritamayaya, Sarvamayaya, Sahase, Ojase, Balaya, Kantaya, Kamaya, Namaste, Ubhayatra Bhuyat. So here the Lord, Lakshmi Devi is worshipping Kamadev by these prayers, by saying that respects to Lord Rishikesha, the Supreme Master of all bodily, mental, and intellectual activities, the only enjoyer of their results, the master of all the actions and knowledge senses, and of whom the five sense objects belong to, and 11 senses, including mind. The enjoyer of all ritualistic ceremonies, the maintainer and supplier of the necessities of life, who awards eternal life, is always pervading, powerful, and supplies strength to the senses and body. He is the supreme husband and master of all living entities and supplies all necessities for the devotees. May he always be favorable towards us in this life and the next. So, this is such a wonderful prayer that comes from this section. We are focusing on verses 16 and 17 today. Verse 16 talks about Lord's beauty and spiritual senses, and verse number 17 talks about Lakshmi's worship and the word Maya Mayam. So, what are the lessons for us that we can see? So, we will be exploring a little bit about the worship of Lord Kamadev or Pradyumna and Ketumala Varsh. These verses are actually deeply devotional and they speak of beauty, attraction, affection, and how the Lord engages our senses for liberation, actually, but not for the bondage. But we are misunderstanding it and it is becoming a bondage. So we often experience that how beauty in this world actually agitates us. And these verses teach us that how transcendental beauty of the Lord actually liberates us, how it heals us properly. So this section describes different regions of Jambudvip, and each region has its predominating deity, and their style of worship as well is explained in this. So Ketumala Varsh is connected with the worship of Kamadev, Pradyumna. Krishna expands as Vasudev, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, Anirudh. So Pradyumna is the divine Cupid, not material Cupid, even though we're talking about material things. So material Cupid actually binds conditioned souls, and Pradyumna, the transcendental Cupid, the divine Cupid, attracts the soul back to Krishna. In verse 16, it is said that the Lord's movements are graceful, his smile is gentle, and his eyebrows slightly raised, and he is glancing playfully, and Lakshmi is pleased, and all senses are pleased. So from this we can bring this fact that beauty is a spiritual quality. Beauty is a spiritual quality. It's not a product of matter, because beauty originates from the source. And who is the source? Krishna. And God or Krishna is all attractive. Krishna literally means all attractive. So the Lord's beauty is not lust promoting or provoking. Often it is misunderstood in the perverted sense of the material understanding that beauty is equal to lust provoking. So beauty is not lust provoking. Beauty is also not exploitative. It's not objectifying to a certain designation or certain gender. It's not objectifying. Rather, it is soothing. It is healing. So spiritual senses, Srila Prabhupada is repeatedly saying that the spiritual senses, our senses are not bad, but the misuse of these senses are bad. And how are we misusing? So these two verses are actually telling us to, or especially verse 16 here is telling us to redirect. 17 is telling us to redirect. 16 is talking about the beauty. So how can we redirect those senses to become purified? When they are redirected to Krishna, these senses become purified. So Lakshmi is first pleased. So when we understand this, the beauty of God, the beauty of Pradyumna is pleasing Rama, the goddess of fortune. She herself finds pleasure in serving the Lord. So Lakshmi is pleased first, and we often think that sense enjoyment is separate from God. And we kind of want to suppress we are going against the flow of the water. In verse number 17, Lakshmi worships in a rhythm. So during the day with the sons of Prajapati, and during the night with the daughters of Prajapati. Throughout the Samvatsara, which is the full cycle of time, she's constantly worshipping, and the mantras are recited. So this indicates that often we understand that Lakshmi is worshipped separately. So we understand from this point that Lakshmi herself is never independent. She is always serving Narayana. And this actually attacks or one can say counters the modern understanding or the misconceptions which are very commonly practiced, that wealth without God is of no use, enjoyment without dharma is of no use, prosperity without devotion is of no use. So when we see how regulative principles fall in this place here, so meaning also in verse number 17 we understand the meaning of maya mayam. Maya mayam is the core of the but Srila Prabhupada is focusing here more. And but maya mayam doesn't mean that it is an illusory form or a temporary form or the material body of the God. No, of God. No, it's not like that. So the correct meaning Prabhupada gives here is maya, as in the purport. Maya is equal to affection, like the mother for a child or mother to child. Maya mayam is full of mercy and affection. And in the text itself, Jiva Goswami, Srila Prabhupada mentions Jiva Goswami's reference as Kripa Prachuram, overflowing compassion. And in the purport as well, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains how Lord cures the disease of illusion. So, what does all this mean? That the Lord actually attracts our hearts to engage us, not exploit us. When we are attracted to Krishna, automatically there is a decrease, or the disease of material attraction is healed. So Srila Prabhupada's main purport themes focuses on that the Lord is deeply affectionate towards devotees, and he personally tries to deliver the conditioned souls. We as practicing devotees or devotees may forget him, but Krishna never forgets us. So Krishna never forgets us. Our main spiritual problem, or the spiritual blockage, the spiritual disease, or the disease of illusion is our identification with the body. So, an attraction to Krishna is the antidote to lust and material desire. So, Prabhupada often says material desire or material attraction binds, but spiritual attraction liberates. And therefore, he's never said attraction is the problem. Attraction is never the problem. But how we direct those attractions, how have we, where this attraction is going is the problem. So the direction is basically the problem. We usually blame beauty, we blame senses, or we blame our desires, or we blame our relationships. But the problem is not this. The problem is not attraction itself. The problem is that we are attracted to the wrong things. And according to Srila Prabhupada's disciplined routine, Srila Prabhupada is actually redirecting attraction, this material attraction, to transcendental attraction. So we can redirect attraction to Krishna's form, Krishna's pastimes, kirtans, deity worship, reading Srimad Bhagavatam, etc. There can be many more, and which brings the healing of the senses. So senses are like powerful horses, and material cupid pulls them towards enjoyment. So we can kind of reflect, like, where am I pulled mostly, and what is the level of my enjoyment? Pradyumna here draws this material cupid towards him. So Pradyumna draws them towards divine love. there can be some of the practices that can help. Probably I'm also in the process from our senses that uh, we are empowered with. We can have the meditation of having a beautiful darshan of the Lord, or by chanting with affection, seeing beauty in Krishna's energy. But the problem here is we don't have attraction, so we can always pray for attraction. In verse number 17, we also see a model of Lakshmi Devi's devotion. And what is that devotion? What do we learn from this? What are we learning from Lakshmi Devi? Even that she's the most opulent goddess, she's not independent. And she's not independent because she's bound by, uh, she's deeply attracted. She's so deeply attracted by the form of the Lord that she only wants to serve the Lord. It's not that it is a compulsion or she's bound by material nature, so she's things are out of control. Um, she's steady and she's very disciplined in worship. She mixes that devotion with responsibility. So our devotion in family life, our devotion in our regular busyness of our life, are also worshipped through time and the cycles that are mentioned, like days, nights, seasons, or anything. So these verses actually talk about the beauty. And when this attraction, beauty and attraction, when this attraction is centered towards ego, it becomes lust. Therefore, it is material. But when it is centered on service, it becomes love. Therefore, it is spiritual. So, love cannot be material because it has ego attached to it. Um, so we can just sit and reflect on these sometimes. Like yesterday, while I was chanting, I was just noticing that I just wanted to finish my rounds. I was not chanting. I was just thinking deep down, why do I not have attraction? So my prayer became for the chanting, please give me attraction towards you. Why? What is it that is stopping me even to take your names properly? So where am I using? So when the reflective part gets activated, then we become aware of where are we. So do I use beauty to control, or I mean, I'm personally struggling a lot in this because I personally have no attraction towards anything. Uh, so what I learned from Srila Prabhupada's repeated lectures and um, association of all of many devotees, advanced devotees, they have directed me to pray for something that you are lacking in. So, do I use beauty to control, or is my affection conditional, or what's happening? And how can I redirect? How can I redirect my senses towards service? So, this seems to be a very beautiful question. Like, how can I redirect my senses to the service of the Lord? There can be some doable ways to redirect our senses towards service. Not now the word redirection is very different from suppression. What we are doing is taking the medicine the wrong way. So the first principle can be, we don't, Srila Prabhupada also mentions, we don't need to kill the senses, but we need to give them, because even in Bhagavad Gita, these cannot be, we are struggling along with mind. We are struggling to, so let's find out some doable ways to redirect our senses towards service, by not suppressing it, but by redirecting it. So the first is Srila Prabhupada has mentioned understanding Srila Prabhupada's mood. We don't kill the senses, but we give them better engagement. Our philosophy in many of Srila Prabhupada's lectures, um, our philosophy is not no senses. Our philosophy is purified senses in Krishna's service. So the method here is not repression or suppression, but it is retraining the use of the senses. So what we can do, the problem use of eyes, if we actually pick up some of the senses that we are misusing, how can we redirect those uses? So eyes, when we see anything from the eyes, we consume and we want to behold it. So the problem use of I'm talking about me. Most of the time we forget and we start scrolling, we start comparing, this is more beautiful than that, or objectifying people, judging appearances, and there's always this stimulation that's needed by the eyes. How that can be redirected by taking darshan of the deities. It's very, very calming. Looking at the pictures of the Lord and devotees, reading shastras, reading or seeing others as souls, not bodies. When we see something attractive, probably we can say that in our mind that this beauty is, if this is so beautiful, the creator of it must be extremely beautiful. So this beauty is just a fraction of Krishna's beauty. And immediately the mind lifts upward rather than downward in the comparison mode, because we are identifying ourselves or comparing ourselves with others. Ears, this is very special sense. We often use this for gossiping rather than hearing kirtan. So our problem use for ears is we are quite focused towards who is criticizing, where this fault finding is happening, or some sort of very addictive, loud music, or music that excites passion, and sometimes useless talk, which also comes from tongue, the use of tongue. So we can redirect it by hearing kirtan, Srila Prabhupada's lectures, other senior devotees' lectures, Bhagavatam, Sadhu Sangha. And when we hear, because this is a doorway, when we hear, then what we hear becomes our desire. If we say, oh, there is a 50% sale at the malls, or because it's Boxing Day or whatever, it will enter, and then our mind will start thinking of, oh, I have to buy this, this. So that becomes the desire. So what we hear becomes our desire. So even if our faith today, or even if our practices today are very small and very indisciplined, or or not regulated, or somewhere if we engage this ear, desires will follow. And tongue, Prabhupada has called it the most difficult one, the master senses. The problem use can be overeating or intoxication. Sometimes we use harsh words to hurt others. And constant opinion giving also comes as one of the problem use of the tongue. And complaining, constantly complaining about things is, how can we do that? The redirection can happen in two ways. Srila Prabhupada always emphasizes chanting and prasadam. So two ways. He gave the formula, which is also called Prabhupada's formula. Control the tongue by chanting the holy name and honoring Krishna prasadam. So even if other senses are wild, even if the tongue is engaged, the rest will follow. So if we keep chanting, if we make it, even if we are chanting consciously or unconsciously, just as a practice, not as attraction, slowly, steadily it starts purifying. And our hands and feet, for example, we like wandering places. So from wandering, which is connected to the mind, so from wandering to seva, we keep doing restless activities without purpose, chasing enjoyment. We using our hands, we can cook for the Lord, we can help devotees, we can arrange a temple, we can clean the altar, etc. I mean, we have heaps of services where we can engage our senses, and ordinary actions, when they are when they are uh, when they are connected with the intention, the ordinary actions, when they're connected with the right intention, uh, like for example cleaning, with the intention that this is Krishna's home or Krishna's house, and I'm cleaning this house. The intention purifies the service itself. And like when we work our jobs, we often have this sadness. Oh, I am working today. Oh no, I'm very busy, etc., etc. We can always put that intention that I'm working to maintain Krishna's family, or I am driving to serve someone. Uh, this way we can connect with our senses, and the problem of busyness becomes the attraction of service. So this is in Bhagavad Gita, this action becomes bhakti yoga. Uh, when our mind, Krishna mentions about the senses, which is also including the mind. When our mind is wandering from fantasy land to remembrance, uh, our mind is often busy with what ifs, thinking about, or crying, or waiting, or lamenting about past, or glorifying the past, and having anxiety about future. We often run into these processes of what if this happens, or sometimes replaying things in our mind, or having imaginary scenarios in our mind, having some really romantic fantasies to fearful fantasies. And so redirection here does not mean not stop thinking, because that's not possible. We cannot stop thinking. Redirection here just clearly means that think of something higher. And what can we do when our mind is wandering? We can just bring the mind to the present and see everything is okay. And therefore, we can pick up a verse to learn, visualize Krishna's form. It just takes a few minutes. Or we can just say, thank you, Krishna. We can actually mentally offer our emotions also to him. And these anxieties of the future can also be redirected um, through prayers. For example, if I'm totally anxious about what's going to happen at I'm going to start something new, what is going to happen. So we can say that, Krishna, you know my heart really well. Please use this anxiety for my growth. Please help me redirect this anxiety to remembering you, or the working through the process of surrender, etc. So we often have these emotional reactions, and as I mentioned, that we can practice to offer our emotions also to Krishna, because emotions are a big are we are made of emotions. We can't be emotionless. We often see that while we keep practicing, we become very hard-hearted, and we start um, you know because of our discipline, don't do this, don't do that. It becomes very, we can't be emotionless. We can't be emotionless. So Krishna wants our love. If we are so emotionless, how are we going to provide Krishna? How are we going to experience love with Krishna. So Krishna wants our love. Krishna also wants our tears. Krishna wants our confusion as well. Krishna wants our longing. Krishna is wanting our tiredness too. And if we redirect every emotion to Krishna and say, like, why this is happening to me, instead of labeling it to karma or this or that, we can just say, whatever in this position I am, please purify this, please attach me to this, please make it devotion, please. I have misdirected it, and I have no capacity to understand it. So the emotion is the same, but the direction changes and the intention changes, and in these directional changes in the emotion becomes purified. Even though the emotion, if it's sadness, it is sadness, but it is sadness purified, happiness purified. So when we are engaged in other things with our material senses, we can always sit and reflect and find out, like, whatever I'm doing, we can always ask, for whose pleasure am I doing it? Is it for the pleasure of ego, pleasure of crowd, or family pressure, or is it because of my insecurity, or is it because of Krishna? Whose pleasure? And if the honest answer says it's because of the crowd, because of my insecurity, because of ego, whatever, if we know the answer from within, that itself, that honesty itself is very purifying. So therefore, Srila Prabhupada is always mentioned about sincere devotional service. Sincere here means knowing about ourselves, being honest with ourselves. So when we reflect inside and we see, for whose pleasure am I doing things or doing any activity, the honest answer that comes. And when that honesty is accepted, we may then offer it to Krishna and say, Krishna, let this be for you. Let this action be for you. So this also is a process where karma yoga can connect to bhakti yoga. So understanding these words and having preparations by reading Srila Prabhupada's lectures, I have understood that I'm in the process of understanding not to hate our senses. Even in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is not mentioned anywhere to hate our senses, suppress our senses. He agrees that yes, these are uncontrollable, and when we are forcing ourselves harshly, the process becomes rather more difficult. So we can. We should not, first of all, we should not compare ourselves with anybody else. We know our journey and we are living our journey. Not two lives are identical and not two thinkings are identical. Therefore, we are living our own journey. We are having our own ups and downs. If we think that our failure, our failure in not going towards Krishna is a problem, or not, it's not a problem, it's a hypocrisy. We can't maintain two people at the same time within us. So we can rather remember that through this word Maya Mayam, Lord is overflowing with affection. So overflowing means he already has more than required. And he's curing our disease very patiently. And one I was asking, it was long ago when Bhakti Shastri, when we were doing Bhakti Shastri and Praneshwar Prabhu, I asked him, oh, I haven't, I kind of get worried if I don't do this. And his statement actually released all those things that were crossing my mind. And he said, His Grace Praneshwar Prabhu mentioned that Krishna is not standing with a stick. Krishna is not standing with a stick. He's smiling, and he's smiling and he's attracting you home. And if you don't do certain things, or if you fail somewhere, it doesn't mean that you'll be beaten up badly. No. So he's he's inviting us to be looking at him and seeing his overflowing, experiencing his overflowing mercy. So I would conclude here with prayers that may we be attracted and stop the wanderings or redirect back to Krishna. May Krishna's mercy help us cure our disease of illusion. May our senses become instruments of service. By praying to the Lord to please glance upon us with a merciful smile, I would like to conclude understanding that Lord is not only great, He is irresistibly beautiful. And His affection for us is not just sentiments. It actually, when we receive, because the affection is present, it's not how we are not able to receive. It's on us, not on Him. And when that is received, it liberates us from illusion. And in these two verses, Lakshmi Devi actually teaches us how real, or teaches us that real fortune means constant devotional service and being attracted to the Lord. So I would like to stop here. If there are any comments or questions or corrections, please feel free. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Can you hear me?
Yes, Mataji, I can hear you. Yes, Mataji. Is there anything that you wanted to
Yeah,
say?
as always, you are very, very merciful with your lectures, and those types of lectures, when I feel blessed with Devotees Association, it's very practical and very relevant to our life about how Krishna is merciful, because it's so important to notice how merciful Krishna is, to feel inspired, and how you said it's like our senses are like I imagine it's like a water flow. You can't really restrict it, otherwise it'll just explode and go some wrong directions. So you just gently redirect them to make them serve you rather than destroy your life. And it's a very, very good lecture again. Thank you very much, Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji, for the blessings. Thank you so much. I read it from Srila Prabhupada's lectures and other, I heard some lectures and everything was mentioning and coming to one point. So yeah, this is so beautiful that we can't really, I really liked your point where it can't be blocked, otherwise it will explode, and therefore suppression is not the way. Thank you, Mataji. Okay, if there is nothing more to say, can we conclude here? Okay,
Yes,
then we
Mataji, we can end here. Yes, Panchakalpatarubhyascha
Kripa
Kripasindhubhyascha
Patakanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo
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 Namo.
Antakoti Vaishnavibindu Ki Jai
Ki Jai.
Guru Premanande Hari Hari Bol.
Hari Bol. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Bye.
Jai.
Grace Radha Padma Mataji ki Jai.
Srila
Jai.
Prabhupada
Hare
ki
Krishna.
jai. Hare Krishna. Have a lovely day. Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.